Hey guys, this is Maxim Sabricus, and with me are Paolo Feliciano and Francis Chi. And we
Why always
are,
gotta be
What's up,
last?
dude,
guys?
why are you cutting out my introduction, man? And,
Sorry,
and
sorry.
we are
Let
the
him
Wise
finish,
Guys.
man.
Pao,
Out
shut up!
there.
And we are the Wise Guys. So okay,
Okay.
basically we created this podcast because we want to talk about viral and not so viral stuff on social media and basically just air out our thoughts about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
have some fun
this is our first like online
on there.
online recording or something, right, guys?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
nice
Dream
talking.
stick.
So yeah, if we have like recording issues, it's not my fault. Okay, so let's go to the first topic. First,
Okay, let's
wait,
just
why
get
is
it.
Pao, why are you cutting out? Okay, but okay, first topic, guys. It's about you may have heard about it. It's about Terry Crews and his case. Have you guys heard about it? Either of you guys?
Just yes, I did. Why don't you explain it again, Sim?
Oh, basically, Terry Crews he was sexually assaulted by a Hollywood producer or director, I think. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Or no, an
Yeah, I think it
agent.
was a
An
producer.
agent. An agent. He was basically sexually assaulted by an agent that grabs his balls like in a party or something like that.
Yeah, man, he's a big guy.
Exactly. So, basically, with everything coming out of Hollywood, right, all about these like sexual allegations and all that, he basically decided to come out and say that he was assaulted too, to become like a beacon of like hope for those people that have been assaulted too, to be able to speak out and stuff like that, you know? So
Yeah, so
now,
people wouldn't be
yeah, so people wouldn't be so scared to speak out.
Hmm.
okay.
So basically, the issue now is that he's been receiving a lot of hate because basically, Terry Crews is a big guy, right? So obviously, when you
Yeah,
look at it
yeah.
from a different point of view, you're gonna be like, oh, he could have handled that way differently. Like, could have pummeled that guy to the ground or something, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he was receiving a lot of hate
But
through
then
that.
his
So what do you guys think?
but then his career would have been at risk if he, retaliated to that guy. So
True.
I guess, diba? So I guess it kind of, I think it's more of an indictment on like the culture that they have there in Hollywood, which is that, well, basically, since they're the ones offering you the positions, it's almost like they can do whatever they want to you. And we can see that there are some bad guys there. Like there are just some bad guys that have infiltrated that system, and they use that system to, I don't know, grab somebody's balls. I don't know why they'd wanna. I don't know. Maybe they like doing that. They're just demented. There's some like pedophiles there, and there's some crazy people there, right? That's why
True.
it's. I think it's an indictment on their culture that like it's been getting more and more outrageous, and now we're seeing that behind the scenes there's some really nasty stuff going on, and maybe and there's a lot more we don't know.
True. But then, um, the issue at hand
So,
is,
but
do you?
yeah, isn't
Okay, you go ahead.
the issue that people have been criticizing him for not doing anything about it? Like not when it happened, he didn't like retaliate. That's what the issue actually is.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's what the toxic masculinity thing is, diba? Like
Yeah.
like all the basically everyone's like, but you're such a big guy. You work out, you're really buff. I'm sure this agent is like really weak. Why didn't you just like beat the living shit out of him or something?
Mm-hmm.
You
And
didn't.
he
So
he he could have, but that would
like,
be like no you like he struggled for a long time to get, because when you're in the acting industry there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of people who want to be famous, who want to be actors, and that's why it becomes like some sort of power game, I think. uh
no, that's maybe you understand from his point, but it's the fact that so many people criticize him for not reacting that way. So many people look down on him for it, for coming out and saying this happened to me. Instead of people sympathizing with him, people were suddenly like, "Why didn't you do anything about it?"
Yeah,
Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Like,
yeah.
you know what
For
I mean? It's kind of insane.
yeah, for me,
I think
go.
yeah, I think it's just like a low resolution level of like analyzing the problem. You know what I mean? Like just because he's a big guy doesn't mean he can't have like the person he's against doesn't have leverage on the you know, it always depends where the leverage is. And he was leveraged on his acting career basically,
Well,
that he would get demolished if he did something.
that's true.
You know what I
But
mean?
what I got from the whole thing is that I mean, like, obviously Terry Crews is a huge ass dude, right? Obviously he could have done something about it. But that's where he brought up
Yeah.
toxic masculinity, wherein it shouldn't be that way. Like people, like men, actually shouldn't be what's this? Shouldn't be ashamed to back down, even though they're at a higher moral ground or something like that. Do you guys get it?
But
No,
well, yeah. The
because toxic masculinity is all about like maintaining like this view of a man wherein like, dude, you're a man, you have a lot of power, you're not supposed to like show your feelings, not you're supposed to show your emotions. And I think that's where he's coming from. Like he's trying to stop that because in order to come out, because you know how it's really famous, it's not famous, but it's really like known that girls are the ones suffering from like, let's say, rape or sexual assault, and then you never hear guys talk about it, right?
yeah.
So this is what Terry Crews is trying to say, like he wants guys to talk about it too, and the only way guys can talk about that is to basically like put that standard down of like being that man who doesn't get affected by anything, who can like go through this kind of assault by just like beating up someone. Do you guys do you
So
guys
basically,
understand me?
Yeah.
what you're saying is he's trying to tell people that to being a man isn't necessarily not being affected by like troubles, or like if ever anything comes your way, you can just be like, fuck it, doesn't affect me, like something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah, exactly,
like that.
exactly.
That's not what being a man is
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
should
yeah.
be able to admit like what happened. You should be able to admit your feelings without, well, the issue with that is it's not even just the idea of it, of you personally being a man. It's the fact that people around you will criticize you as well. You know what I mean? Like it's not even just other men that criticize you in this case.
Oh,
It's
well,
also women, but everyone criticizes you if you do something like this. It's really how that's the general idea of today. How are you supposed to fight against something like that when the entire world has the same consensus about it, in a sense?
that's true. It's good you brought that up
Yeah.
because I don't
And
think that would normally be brought up in the case of Terry Crews. Because like, you look at Terry Crews, he's a big ass dude. No one will challenge that
Mhm.
guy. But it's a good thing you brought that up because yeah, it's not just about men, it's about basically everyone. I mean, not everyone, but a
True.
lot of people, you know?
Because to
yeah.
everyone, that's really how men are supposed to be. Diba? Like,
Yeah.
how do you
Or what?
how do you fight that when everyone thinks that way?
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I guess that's what he was trying to say. What Terry Crews was trying to talk about is that maybe that's not what a man really is about. That's not exactly what being a man is. It's also about being just honest and true to yourself. Like if you need some help, then you need some help.
Well,
And
props to him.
that
He
it's
started.
also yeah. It's like the other side. Like it's not just the motivation of somebody having leverage over you. It's also that, and in a sense, it's a good thing for somebody to admit, like, if something real happened to a person, happened to you, like this thing, and to be honest about it. It's better than deflecting and pretending like it didn't happen, because I think that can also mess you up, like in a psychological level. You know what I mean?
Mm, I get it. So yeah, basically it's good because like I feel like he started a movement or he started something. You know, it's like a
No,
small ember right now.
I would personally say the movement is always there. He just kind of broadcasted it, like made it like really come out because the
Yeah.
idea has always been there. The men should be able to like show their feelings. Men should be able to do this instead of being the
Yeah, and
usual
there have
nothing
been
ever.
lots of movies have been made to show stories like that, that how it actually helps a person to it all depends, but
Uh,
usually it helps a person to be honest about themselves and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, good on him though for, using his platform for something like that.
yeah. No, actually, like in fairness, he
Because
uses his
it's a
platform
hard
for a lot
thing.
of things. He really does.
What, Koi?
He uses his platform for a lot of good things. I personally
Okay.
couldn't really see anything to criticize the guy about. There's really nothing, you know. Like
That's
he's really
true.
close to his kid.
Yeah,
Like he's willing to get
yeah,
into the hobbies of his kids. Stuff like that. It's good.
yeah. I guess that's why he called it like kind of toxic, because like people were actually bashing him for it, even
Mm.
though there wasn't really, it was unwarranted. I think
Yeah, it was
like I
like a
don't think.
complete flip because prior to that, everyone's always like, "Oh, Terry Crews is a really great guy," and then suddenly comes out with a story like that. Suddenly, his fans are suddenly like, "Wait,
What?
what are you, a little bitch?" Something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
they're like,
like
"What are you, a
flip.
wimp?" Like that.
Yeah, diba?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of messed up. Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Truth.
I guess I guess the what's appealing about it is that you really wouldn't expect it for somebody like that. Like, Terry Crews is a
Oh
big
yeah.
guy,
Definitely
Yeah, that's
not.
why
and
it's
like it's like
uh,
he's a very unexpected victim. You know what I mean? That's why it was really shocking, I guess, when it came out. Like,
yeah,
whoa, Terry Crews, man.
that's why it's such a good broadcast for that issue because like he's like the epitome of someone that something like that isn't supposed to happen to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the fact that it
yeah,
happened to him and he came out about it, it's really like it really broadcasts the issue it has.
yeah. That's why I said that it's more of really an indictment on like the culture in Hollywood, that a lot of nasty stuff is going on like in the background. And we're seeing a lot of that in the news lately, like a lot of sex
Mm.
scandals, a lot of people there are a lot of people like are airing out their bad laundry already ahead before they get caught.
I don't know.
So
I always try
we're
to take
seeing.
all that. I always try to take all that news with a grain of salt, though. Like you never know. You know how there's so many like rape accusations, so many like sexual harassment accusations, and everyone always takes it as instantly true.
Mm.
But think
No,
about it.
but
But then
yeah,
if it's not true, you're ruining the life of the person being accused.
yeah, I
True.
know that's why I also agree. Like, always take it with a grain of salt. What I'm saying is that recently there have been a lot of people in Hollywood that are like admitting to that they did something a long time ago, or they tweeted something that was kind of offensive, because I think because of this culture wars that are going on, a lot of people are digging up lots of like old tweets, old posts, and then you get character assassinated.
Mm.
So a lot of Hollywood, like people who have like past tweets or past posts, they're like admitting it, admitting it like before people try to character assassinate them, kind of like what Duterte did in his election. Like he's already putting it out there that
Wait,
he
wait.
does this and
Before
that.
we get too far off, what
Wait,
really
wait.
came down in the Terry Crews
Both of you
incident?
guys gotta chill because you guys are cutting off a little. But then,
No, okay.
Oh,
So
sorry,
basically,
sorry.
okay, so
so wait. Before we get
Yeah,
too far off, back to the Terry Crews thing. So basically, we're all in agreement, right? The people
yeah,
who criticized him for doing what he did are insane.
crazy.
Basically, like
Yeah.
yeah, like what nonsense what you guys are doing. It can happen to anybody. You'll
Yeah,
never know.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. And all the fans who turned on him instantly when it happened, you guys are a bunch of assholes. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, come on, guys,
Dude,
have some self-respect,
Terry
diba?
Crews, the only guy who sang 1,000 miles the way he did and still came out the
Yeah,
manliest man in the
uh,
universe.
Yeah, guys, hella funny, man.
diba? Yeah, dude. Actually, that brings me to another point. Okay, actually, there's something that I just thought about now. All right,
Okay,
what do you guys
nice.
actually think? What do you guys actually think about like false rape accusations? How would one deal with that?
How
Like
would
Dude,
one
I've
deal with
been
that?
yeah, how would you punish that?
Dude, that's why I've always been thinking about like this issue as like it's one of the hardest issues to
Yeah,
face. I
diba?
think it's
Oh.
because it's completely he said she said, or
Yeah,
he said,
or
or what she said he
in
said.
the
Yeah,
words of my prof on their law, it's laway versus laway, dude. You get what I mean?
Kalagutan,
If you
laway
just
versus laway.
oh,
Oy.
laway laway lama, you get what I mean? Like no, because think about it this way: you can't punish the person who's accusing of rape, even if it's proven that it was like a false accusation, because if you do that, that scares actual rape victims from coming out. Because what if they lose the case and then they get punished?
yeah.
Like,
Mm.
dude, it's like double dead by like you got raped, pa, and then you go to jail for it. Like, bruh,
Yeah, yeah,
si Paolo
yeah.
ka na.
That's
Yeah, or even
horrible.
even if you just even if you just impose a penalty, like it's still gonna discourage
Oh,
people from,
No,
yeah,
I mean
dude.
like,
Like they'll
diba?
be like,
It's still
yeah.
gonna discourage victims from coming out. But there's also you have to acknowledge the problem also that there's a lot of people being accused who are innocent.
yeah. See, that's why.
That's the other side of the coin, and honestly, that's like one of the hardest things to deal with
Yeah,
because there's really no evidence. There's no evidence that can be easily built. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. I totally agree with
No,
that. Cause like I totally agree with that. Cause like even though let's say you get accused, right, that you didn't do anything, even though let's say your name has, I mean like you've proven yourself to have not raped the girl, there's still like
Yeah.
there's still like a
yeah,
little like
like yo,
bad
like
negative effect
people
on
will
you.
look at you differently. No,
Yeah,
but then
exactly.
see,
True. You've already ruined your reputation in a way. Or sometimes maybe some people get spared, but sometimes it can ruin reputation. And some people won't believe that the verdict, right?
Mm-hmm,
There'll always be
mm-hmm.
those people.
yeah, it doesn't matter what the law says, innocent until proven guilty. You know how people are. Doesn't matter if it's innocent until proven guilty. To them, you're guilty right away.
Guilty till
It
proven
means,
innocent, bruh.
diba?
Yeah.
It's kind of
They,
sad. But then,
they
like,
they'll think you
That's
I,
so
just
sad.
uh, no, but then I know we'll never get. I know we'll never get to like a conclusion with this. But I just wanted to highlight, like, in terms of that, it's so difficult to find a solution for something like that because you can't punish the accuser. I mean, you can't
yeah.
punish them because if you punish them, you're scaring actual victims away from actually coming out. It's kind of sad.
Mm,
So
yeah.
how like it's one of the issues that
And
really
it's like
needs to be
a
focused on, diba? Because like so you
you're stuck in a rock and a hard between a hard rock and a hard place, you know.
yeah, because you see so many people always saying, "Oh, false accusation. What should happen to the person who falsely accused someone? Oh, they should get jail time equivalent." And then they never look at it in a way now. That shouldn't be the case because it's that's so like imagine you were the victim of like you got raped or something. Like, can you imagine how scary it is to come out? Like, basically, everyone will look at you differently because because in the culture today there really is victim blaming. It happens a lot
Yeah.
in the Philippines. It happens a lot actually, and then like you have to come
Yeah,
out,
it does.
and then everyone will blame you, like what you wore, what you did, what you drank, and then what if you lose and then you get punished, you got raped and you get 20 years in prison for accusing someone, like you get what I mean, like
Yeah.
it's hard, like that's really
Like
something that
you
has to
basically accuse
that has to
someone, you
have a
lose the
solution.
case. It's
It
horrible.
can't be it can't be prison time talaga, dude. Even a
Mm.
fine, like a
No, it
small
can't
fine,
be
it
anything,
also
that's the
can't
thing.
be. Yeah,
Oh,
it
because
can't
like
be.
dude, that's also just the same thing, because imagine the same situation, like you got raped and then you have to pay 5,000
Yeah,
pesos to the person who raped you, but like what is that, dude?
yeah,
It's like,
that's
oh.
crazy. That's insanity.
Yeah, dude. Like that's so messed up. That's why there's really nothing. For at least for me. I'm
But
no genius.
I guess I think it should still be skewed a little to the more to the victim side rather than to the false accuser. Though I don't know how many exactly would be hurt by that, but I think it makes more sense to have it more skewed towards helping the
Oh, for
victim
sure,
rather
for
than
sure. 'Cause
those first falsely accused.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Hard
actually,
makes
to say.
sense.
for sure,
Okay.
for sure. Like Wait.
So,
All right. No.
do you have anything
Since
else
That's
we
to
a,
went to
say?
a super since we went to a super
that made.
serious topic. Since we went to a super serious topic, can we like jump to like? Do we have any light-hearted topics today? Anything? Anything?
Light-hearted topics. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude,
All right. Wait.
wait. I wanted to save this for last though.
Oh well, we can choose something
Which
else
one?
for
The
later.
UST, the
Dude,
uniform?
no, no, dude, the freaking Filipino Pinoy pride, dude.
Oh, dude, wait.
The
Oh, we can
Pinoy
save that for
pride.
last. We can save that for
Yeah,
last.
I
Yeah.
want that for last.
Yeah. Okay.
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 No, no, no. Since we're on the topic of um victim blaming and rape and all that, I guess we could move on to our next topic, which is um the UST dude. Have you guys heard about
Yeah, the
guy?
one who wasn't. Is this the one who wasn't in uniform? This is the one, right?
No, Pao.
What?
What?
Dude,
How does
what
that
kind of
relate?
issue? What?
How does that relate from
What?
rape and
That's not the one.
sexual
Dude,
allegations to
I know
USD
we came from a
uniform?
really, man, we came from a really
Oh,
dark topic, but dude, I'm just like, wow, why,
USD
why, why?
uniforms.
my bad. Okay,
No,
not the
basically
wrong
it's
info
about this
there.
guy. He's called Kyle Viray. Have you heard of him?
Okay,
Then basically,
and then
his girlfriend came out to Twitter, basically posting a lot. I mean, a lot of photos of her like bruises and everything because apparently he's been physically
oh
abusing
damn.
him. And the worst
Okay,
part
Sure.
is that his punishment ultimately came down to community service.
oh
Like,
yeah,
oh,
no, this is
I actually read,
yeah, this is the one before the uniform thing happened.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know the uniform thing you're
Yeah,
talking about, but
this is before the
stop
uniforms.
bringing back the uniform thing, dude. This is like super serious. You keep bringing back the uniform.
Okay, okay, sorry,
Huh.
that's confusing.
I
Yeah,
actually, I
anyways,
actually read
I
one
know
thing
this
about
one.
that.
okay,
Go
so
ahead.
who
Why
wants to
is
go
it that
first?
No, Paulo,
wait,
go.
what was their reasoning for protecting that guy?
They didn't have a reason.
Or they just thought that that was sufficient already, that punishment?
No, okay. So there's a guy who broke it down on Twitter, like based on the handbook mismo sa UST.
Yeah,
Because
did you
what
send that to me or
uh
no?
the really long one? No, I wasn't the one.
Oh,
But there was
okay,
a guy
okay.
who broke it down. Because the thing about the UST handbook is it gives you apparently I haven't read it, so I don't really know. Don't quote me on this. But then like apparently the punishments given have like minor violation, major violation, by nana. But the thing is
Hmm.
they don't state what a minor violation is, what a major violation is, something like that. So basically, it falls to UST to decide whether a violation is minor or major. Now the issue
It's
here is the
subjective.
fact that it's subjective to them. Now a minor
Okay.
violation can be anything, a major violation can be anything depending on what they want it to be. A minor violation is community service. A major violation is either permanent suspension, getting kicked out. The fact that they treat as a minor violation. You're beating the shit out of your girlfriend, and that's a minor violation. So what's a major
That's the
violation supposed to be, diba? Like it's kind of messed up. And according to Twitter, again, I'm not sure if it's like the best source of information, but he did it to his ex as well.
Oh yeah, I also read about that.
Yeah, he beat up his ex as well. Like, bruh, come
so
on,
the
man.
yeah, they should
Why do
be
people do this,
getting
man?
this.
This
Yeah,
freaking doesn't make
that's the first
sense.
question right there.
This is the first question right there. That doesn't make sense at all. Like,
Yeah, dude, the best
Maybe.
Paolo could do is hit plants, dude. Like, Jesus, man.
oh my god!
Hey, come on, man. Let's not talk about me
I
here.
totally forgot about that. I
We
wasn't
have a
there,
story
but
for
I
that.
know that that was one drunken night for you, pal, and you beat
Um,
the shit out of that plant, man.
Dude, story
oh
for
man,
that.
I showed him who's boss, man. I showed him who's boss.
Good halaman, oy.
Alright. Go, Pa. What are you gonna say?
What you gonna say?
Anyways, yeah. So this school should, I guess, punish this guy for on behalf of the girlfriend, right? Is it like that? how does it work on their rules? I mean, like, is it happening in campus, or do they have
No, it's
the
off
right?
campus,
Do
but
they?
UST has jurisdiction over you even off campus. That's
Yeah,
the thing you sign. The what's that?
Oh,
the
okay.
conforme.
The conforme. Yeah.
So even if you're outside campus, if you're
Uh,
behaving in a way that's inappropriate, they
Yeah.
they still have the
yeah,
power to punish you.
Mm-hmm.
but they were never strict about it.
Okay, that's true. Is that actually? Can't you file a case against him for that?
She can
Like not with UST,
yeah, she can
right?
definitely find a case
Legal.
against him. Yeah,
Yeah, see,
I
that's
did think
that was the
so.
thing. No, but then I think what they wanted was it to be filed within USC. Like, say for example, you have to file it in court. You know how the Philippine legal system is
True,
really
true.
it's really
Oh yeah. And
it's really slow.
If it
Takes
can
a
be
long
they'll
time.
settled,
definitely
but
taint his record, dude, if the school expels him. Dude, I feel like
Hmm.
expulsion
well,
is
No, dude, they
a
can stop him from
actually, they can
entering
just
other
they can,
schools.
yeah,
yeah, they can
exactly.
just
Yeah,
expel him actually
yeah.
for that offense. I
And
mean,
that will
what do
taint
you
his
usually get?
record so
Like,
bad.
wait, I think this is a good thing to ask is what do you usually get expelled for?
No,
You
see,
know what
that's
I
the
mean?
thing. It's the fact that it was never said specifically what you could do to actually get expelled.
No, because
You
their
get
rules are always
Okay.
like if you do this, you can either get suspended, blah blah blah, or expelled.
mm,
So everything, so
depending on the
basically when
violation.
it happens, the school themselves decides. They basically like gauge it like is it worth expelling for or is it worth just suspension or something like that.
Yeah, and according to the people in the school, they decided that beating up another person is like community service worthy.
That's
Yes.
Okay.
crazy. You
Community
think
service.
he, he probably pulled some strings to get that done, I think. Like you think people like it's really the administration. You must have like somebody up there
I
that
mean, that's
Yeah, but
he's
definitely
then
not
contacted to
impossible.
try and
Definitely not
no,
impossible.
plead his case. I
yeah,
think
for
it's
sure.
likely
Yeah,
No,
quite
but then
likely.
like
because
considering how much flack they got, is it worth it? Dude, if I was like the head of like UST or something, I would have like thrown the guy under the bus. Like we're getting so much negative press for this. Is it even worth it
Oh
anymore?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care how much.
Well, exactly. Now they're paying the price because it's possible that they the connection was just to one of the guys there, like one of the more higher up guys, and
Oh,
because of this.
tinfoil hats on, boys! It's conspiracy theory time.
No,
dude, glasses
I'm
on,
just
dude.
saying it. I'm just saying it's more likely that it's a few people. If there is somebody who's friends with that guy's relatives or whatever, it would likely just be a few people rather than the whole body. You know what I
Administration.
mean? Yeah, the
Mm.
whole administration. And I think they're regretting it if they did like keep the guy just for the heck of for a favor or whatever.
Mm. Okay.
I'm gonna try to find the tweet, but it's a good thing on my computer.
Try to find what.
The tweet. All
But
right,
I
you can
that's
Damn,
the
I can't find anything on my computer, man.
that I think that's the issue though. Is UST the proper body to they definitely should no. I mean that's
Yeah.
one of your students
Yeah.
who's wearing your uniform,
Oh,
representing your school, and I mean they always say that like the values are what's important. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like you got somebody doing that. Come on, community
yeah. And then the
service.
worst part is they're so proud that they're a Catholic school, and then they
Pontifical,
condone.
dude.
Yeah.
Pontifical. Wait, Koi, what are you searching for?
No. I was looking for the katong, the explanation based on the UST handbook, because I could be wrong in
So
what I'm saying.
Mm.
no, so basically like this guy there was full evidence right of what he was doing like
I
with the
mean, there was no
bruises and
video of him
everything.
actually doing it, I think. It was just the after effects. The bruises,
Oh,
the bruises and everywhere in
so
her arm, on her leg.
so you think
Oh
it's
no!
possible then that they just
Okay, no. It's definitely not possible that she made it up. I mean, because she sent, I mean, she could have fabricated it also, but then she sent She sent
Texts.
text messages of him, like basically like screenshots of their text messages. Basically, like he was like pleading with her, like, come on, like you don't have to do this. You're making it so big. This is supposed to be like a boyfriend and girlfriend kind of problem to solve. Why are you bringing other people into it? Then
Wait,
basically,
wait, wait.
what?
He was bringing other people into it?
No, no, no.
Like
The
how?
girl was bringing other people into it by posting it on social media
Ah,
and like telling her friends. Because she had
ah.
enough
So
of it.
he was. So
Okay,
he was
wait, guys.
pleading.
Yeah, basically pleading with her, like, no, blah, blah, blah. Then she basically like said like you should have thought about that before you did it or something like that. Dude, you know what what his answer was?
What?
Sarap mo sapakin ulit eh.
Oh
Dude,
God,
that's horrible.
Jesus
Sarap mo
Christ!
Anyone got some translation for me,
What
man?
a
Oh,
what a
um,
terrible guy.
um, I wish I could slap you again.
Oh god. Okay, wait. Okay, so this is the tweet, okay, from his Twitter handle is pretty messed up, but I'm gonna say human basura. Like that's really his Twitter handle. But he's the one
What
who
the
like
fuck?
listed out he's the one who listed out, right? Like the UST based on the UST thing based on the guidebook. Like, okay, so there are three types of offenses. There's minor, major, and there's grave. None of them are defined, and also it says that you have basically five tries. Every time you have a report, guy, it slowly builds up your kanangkuan. So
Mhm.
again, if we were right, it really is up to UST's discretion whether your offense is minor, major, or grave. If it's a grave offense, that's when you can be instantly suspended, kicked out. But then minor offense is kanang no graduation
Community service.
rights and like
Mm,
community service, which he got. So basically, UST is saying
It
him beating up
was a
his girlfriend
minor
is just
offense.
minor. And according to the handbook, UST has jurisdiction even off campus.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
basically,
who
UST is saying it's a minor offense.
after investigation, right? This is after their investigation.
Good
Oh, dude,
stuff.
that's wild. That's wild.
Crazy.
It's crazy, man.
Sim, that's your
That's
old school, man. How do you
yeah,
feel
yeah.
Dude,
about that?
I was just there for one sem. And dude, wait, people there are nice. People there are nice, but this one is just crazy. Like there's like a
That guy
freaking
wasn't.
needle in a
Just saying.
freaking hay, dude. Like, oh yeah, this guy's crazy too.
Yeah, dude. He's
it, it's
like
pretty
wait.
much,
Okay. Go.
man, it's pretty much like what they would expect in like the the regular court system in the Philippines. I mean, even in schools, their serving of like punishments is terrible. That's why we also see it later on in the real court system, I think.
Hmm.
School pa lang, they can't even get that right. I mean,
I
come
agree with
on.
that.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Did you have something else to say, Koi?
Dude, I'm just gonna move on to criticizing the guy. He's insane. I think
Okay,
Oh,
everyone we talk about on
Koi,
this podcast is insane. I'm sorry.
we've
I'll
already
stop using that.
we've already established that that guy's kind of crazy.
Dude, no, he's
yeah.
not kind of crazy. He's batshit insane. Dude, he's like full
There,
on.
there,
Oh,
there are
What?
people like that, no?
yeah, dude,
Why,
crazy.
why do
Yeah.
you think that?
Sure.
Why do you think that happens?
I think you should ask Kokoy. I think he has more experience.
Do you have an
Joke.
Excuse me.
experience? Yeah.
I was kidding. What?
So,
Why people think that way? Well, it boils down. It all boils down. I mean, I wouldn't say it all boils down, but then I think going back to our first point, it's also toxic masculinity. Guys think they're like they're superior to women. Actually, Terry Crews brought this up when he was in court. He said growing up, he like he didn't show it, but then inside him, he believed that he was a superior being compared to women. That he was of far great. I mean, he was of more value compared to women. And I think um I wouldn't say a lot, but then I would say people in general, men in general, tend to get brought up that way, wherein they feel like they're superior.
I think, well, I think it's more of like it's a conflation between superior physically and superior like as like your value in society, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because like sometimes you feel superior because you're physically superior, and that's a fact. So we shouldn't get that mixed up with superior in terms of like value or in
Mm,
terms of what they can offer.
mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, true, true, true.
And I think that's where the toxicity comes in, is that it's a delusion that you're more because you're physically superior,
Yeah,
and it's
especially
wrong.
when it
I
comes
think it's
to
wrong.
especially when it comes to old old I mean like I would say now outdated gender roles wherein men would always be the breadwinner. So yeah, I think there's a part of
Yeah,
that too.
yeah, because there are a lot of things that girls are better at guys. Also, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Truth,
Like,
truth, truth. So, are we gonna talk about the conforme or not?
Uh
what's going on there,
Well, if
Chi?
we do, Koy, it's gonna be short and it's just gonna be the both of us, I think. I would think so.
yeah, well, it comes down to this thing, okay? This thing, diba, you said it yourself. You had to sign it.
I did.
It's always been there. Why are people making an issue about it now? I'm so confused.
No, the issue that people brought up now is that because it's updated, not
Yeah, but then the
the
update was only with the hazing. And was it the riots? I'm not
Wait,
sure. I think
and
Alpha was
wait.
there.
oh wait, what?
People. I don't think people who know won't really understand what you're talking about.
Oh, the
Oh, yeah,
conforme like
okay.
Why don't you
We'll talk about it.
give it a little background?
no, but the
Yeah, Mr.
conforme like
XUST.
what you did Ateneo have this, Koy? What? Your ex Ateneo? No, basically like
My
it's like
heart.
a it's like an I agree and you know those things like online. It's like I agree
Yeah,
and
like a
I've read
service
and agree all
agreement.
these conditions and something like that.
It's basically
Basically
terms
that.
and conditions
Yeah, terms and
Yeah,
conditions.
okay. For what? For what?
So yeah, no,
for entering
basically
UST.
for entering UST, for being a UST student.
Oh, okay. So they don't doesn't don't all schools have that? Ateneo has like I've read the rules and regulations, and then
Oh no,
you
there's is
sign
different.
this thing.
I was like
What is
confused,
that?
man. I was like, whoa. No, theirs is
Yeah, like
different.
you've read the student handbook,
No,
and
dude,
you will do
theirs
your
is like
best.
theirs is like really strict. Like theirs really says no things you do off campus can be punished within the like
Yeah, like
by UST
no
itself.
rallies, you can't be in romantic relationships. You can't be
And I read this one
co-inhabiting
rule,
with
dude.
someone else that you have romantic
Unless you're
relations with.
married. Oh,
Yeah, unless you're married. What do
Oh
you
wow, they
say,
have like
Koy?
really traditional.
dude, no drinking. It's part of their laws. And they're
Yeah,
part of the rules. If
and
you
you
drink and
can't.
you get caught, they can punish you.
Dude,
Well,
I found it so funny
it's
because
really
what?
dumb. Like the more useless rules you put in there, the more likely that people aren't gonna follow it because they won't take it seriously. I mean, no drinking in college. You know what I mean? You can pretend like you're not drinking, but who the hell isn't drinking in college, man?
Oh, Pao, what drinks?
But
Pao,
dude, what drinks are you talking
Koy,
about, dude?
palahubog
All I
is
drink is like
Paulo,
Coke
bay.
Zero. Dude, all I
Coke
drink is like Coke
Zero.
Shut up, man.
Zero, like
Come on, let's be
water,
real.
dude. Like
And
Okay,
besides,
I
filling
it's
up
get you,
for
I
the
get you.
gym.
No,
besides, it's proven.
I guess my issue with the whole conforme thing is that as educators, aren't they supposed to be guiding the students instead of dictating what they should and should not do? I mean, they should guide them in a way wherein they would understand what the right thing is to do. And also like what
Yeah, but
Paulo
then
said about alcohol, dude, that's impossible. I mean, close to
Yeah, and
impossible.
the
For sure,
more.
someone there is in college and doesn't drink, but I would say very close to impossible.
Yeah, for sure. There's some, of course, that don't. But yeah, my point is just basically the more rules that won't be followed on that list, the less seriously people will take it. So what's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
dude,
Why
no
not
one
just
took it
make
seriously in the first place.
What?
yeah?
No,
Why not make an actual like legit that people can follow? Because I think there's a lot
That's
of
possible.
there's a lot of yeah, that's possible. And usually, that's the issue with a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, a lot of laws. is that it's so difficult to comply with them in the first place that people don't bother.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
It's like, yeah, it's like putting a speed limit of 30 on a highway that you can go like 60 easily.
You mean SRP all the
Yeah,
time?
like, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna follow that.
Even in the Skyway.
Yeah, it's like,
Right? Even in
come
the
on, man.
Skyway, like you're like going 60 and you're like, oh man, I'm going so slow. Then you see the freaking speed limit, it's like 60. It's like, what? What is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it's like slow. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Who's driving? Your grandma? Come on.
Uh, okay, so that's that about the UST thing. Or do you guys have anything else to add?
No,
Nah,
No?
I think
You guys
we've
are good?
exhausted that topic quite well.
Okay, are
I
you
think all I'm
going?
gonna say is
Okay,
I
go.
still think it's just UST covering their ass, dude. Like all the stuff they're putting there, they're like, oh, gotta cover our asses, gotta make sure our students don't post anything bad about us online. That's all actually part. Did you know that?
Hmm?
That
I think
basically,
it's I think
you
it's the
can't
wrong
criticize
approach.
UST, dude. You can't criticize UST on social media. Can you imagine that? Sort of.
Yeah. Oh, you can't
I
It's
criticize
think
anyone.
uh,
Like you can't
well, I
criticize
think that's
anyone
a
as a student.
I think that's the wrong approach. I think they'll lose control of it eventually.
Dude,
oh no,
they're
Because
never
dude,
in control.
they were never in control. No one listened in the first
Yeah,
place. It's
how?
just people are making. That's my point. Why are you making it
exactly, that's why
about it
it's
now?
the wrong
Oh.
strategy.
No, but
Yeah.
they've been doing
Because
it since forever. It's just like a matter of formality
it's
for them.
been working because social media wasn't as crazy
No, Paul,
before.
it's never worked. No one's ever listened to it, dude. That's
Yeah.
my point.
People
Like,
are
why
getting
are
to
people
relationships,
having?
people are drinking.
Oh, why are people
True,
having
true.
an issue with it now when it's always just been basically a formality for UST? Like
Hmm.
they've never actually taken it seriously, you know.
Yeah,
So
and
why is it an
they
issue
never
now?
actually. I mean, like if they did follow it, they never really, dude, for sure they would know that their students are freaking going to rally seguro or drinking or being in relationships, and they never took action against it. So the fact that they're not taking action against it means that they're also not taking it
Well,
seriously.
actually, as a institution, they technically they can do whatever they want, and they'll only start to do something if they
Once it
actually
affects them.
lose, like,
If
yeah,
something happens,
they
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, when they actually lose like admission rates or something.
Mm-hmm.
But given that it's like one of the top schools that like they basically have like a fixed market share in the education system, so I don't think it's gonna affect them very much because they enroll a lot of students, man, like a
Oh
lot of
yeah, for sure.
students.
So we've
And
exhausted that
people,
topic.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
But oh, dude, you just like it's
I'm sorry,
slammed it into your
Pao.
own
I
bottle.
didn't know he was gonna say something, dude. I was midway through my sentence, and Paulo goes, "But so he slammed into me, man. I
No,
didn't
dude, it's
slam
because
into."
Paulo always takes these 5 second
Just
pauses, so
I
you think, okay, he's
yeah,
know,
done,
I
and then
I
like he
have to
know.
keeps
take
going.
sometimes, man.
No, he takes 5 second pauses with his mouth open, like he's about to say something, like,
Yeah, so you
"Yeah,
like wait,
dude."
right, and then nothing comes out, and then the
Then
instant you
on the
try to
sixth
talk, he
second,
starts to talk, dude.
on the
Yeah,
sixth second, that's when he talks.
no, that's why I always end
It's
up
when the
like
idea
talking
comes
over
into my
Paulo,
head,
dude.
man.
I always end up
Okay.
interrupting him, dude.
Yeah, me too. Okay, okay.
Anyway, okay.
So,
It's okay,
bottom
man.
line, Kyle Vera is insane. He deserves a much worse consequence. And conform it too
Yeah,
intense, dude. UST has to be realistic.
true.
No one's gonna listen to it anyway, so what's the point? So
Uh,
I'm gonna say.
unfortunately, they're too powerful to give a give a crap. I think until they get affected for real.
Mm,
So we'll just have to wait for that.
okay.
Okay,
S-
next.
So coming up next is wait, this is pretty heavy, but I like it.
Why? Why is it always heavy today?
It's
Okay,
okay.
go on.
Our
Which
last
one?
topic is really good. I really like that topic. But anyway, our quite heavy topic, dude, is capitalism versus environmentalism. Do you know that tweet, Pao?
Yeah, I've read the thread.
Yeah, basically like this girl was criticizing people who use I mean like who claim that they're environmentalists because they're giving up plastic straws when in fact metal straws DAO, um what is it? Affect really
Ah, like yeah,
The-
because nickel
no, metal
mining
yeah,
comes
'cause
from.
nickel
straws.
mining.
Yeah,
Yeah, come from
it comes
nickel
from
Guys,
mining.
I'll
Yeah.
be
nickel.
back.
So
5 seconds. You guys keep going.
Go ahead.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
so
nickel mining.
actually, yeah, it comes from nickel mining, which apparently takes up 400 to 500 hectares of land in Palawan,
Yeah. And basically
something
what she
like that.
to expound more, basically what she's saying is that um if if your type of environmentalism is not anti-capitalist, then you're not an environmentalist at all. Would you agree with that?
Dude, that is insanity, bro.
Well, dude, okay, we need to
There
have a
is
game
it
for this
does.
podcast. Like every time someone says insane or insanity or whatever, someone out there needs to take a shot.
That's true, man. That's great. That should be our thing.
That someone out there should take a
Count the
shot or
number of
something.
saints. The Wise Guys podcast drinking game.
Yeah, drinking game.
But yeah, dude, that it doesn't have to be exclusive, you know. Just because capitalist isn't even related per se to the environment. Like
What?
there's environmental no the capitalist system isn't even related directly to environmental issues. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely not
Like
directly, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to be like there's capitalism and there's environment. In fact, uh it can be done together that like we can be doing things in a more sustainable way, and that's what we should be thriving towards. But because the problem of capitalism is it doesn't recognize the immediate threat of like your environmental costs. So let's say you're throwing garbage into the ocean. You don't see its effects until much later. So that's why it's a lot harder to detect like how much air pollution are you actually causing. Does it actually affect the people around you? Is it gonna affect you 10, 20, maybe 50 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's hard to quantify, you know what I mean? And that's what it doesn't incentivize that to move towards more sustainable unless the threat becomes immediate. So that I think is a valid it's a valid argument against being capitalist, in a sense that it doesn't incentivize for you to take care of the environment because it's not an immediate threat, or it's not an immediate concern, at least.
Mm. But going back to your earlier point, um, cap capitalism doesn't have a direct effect on environmentalism, right? But then wouldn't you say that
Yeah, the
a lot of capitalism contributes to a lot of what makes the environment go bad, especially now at present? Because okay,
yeah,
capitalism's main goal is to maximize profit, right? Maximize profit and
correct.
increase productivity and
Yeah.
efficiency of how to produce of productivity. So like if those are three of your main goals, it's basically it would basically kind of like um not even like consider its environmental effects.
Well, in the long run, technically it does, because it's also it's like it's gonna harm later on. But generally speaking, because it's not of immediate concern, then yes, it will not. Usually, it doesn't take into account environmental factor early stage companies, because they're just thinking about profit rather than their carbon footprint or whatever. It's those big corporations who have the capacity to think about that, and they're able to shoulder they can shoulder the cost of like meeting with the correct. So they're the ones who are more concerned with that. But like usually during the early stages, it's hard because it's hard to quantify.
Hmm.
You're just more concerned about making profit. Does it make
Do you
sense?
have Yeah, it makes sense. Do you have any
Maybe
takes,
we
Goy?
should get more specific.
The thing is, like, for example, the environmental versus capital thing,
Hmm.
it's kind of messed up because a lot of the ideas people have in their head are actually really crazy misconceptions. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, the paper bag versus plastic bag argument. Like that's a very that's a, think about it in a way where in every step of the way, the plastic bag is cheaper than the paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of production carbon footprint, actually I just googled it now.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the paper bag has a bigger carbon footprint like per paper bag produced in comparison to the plastic bag. And the issue, like say for example, people are like stop using plastic bags. Well, the thing is you don't actually have to. The problem comes down to recycling. Like it's the fact that people like say your plastic bag, it can be recycled again and again and again and again. But what people tend to do is just throw it out. It's the mindset that's wrong. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always have to be capitalism versus environmentalism. Like why is
Exactly.
that? Oh yeah, diba? Why is that always
They're
the
not
Yeah,
case?
they're not exclusive.
they're not
Yeah.
yeah, they're not
They're not
exclusive.
against each other. Just because people are trying to make a profit does not mean they are anti-environment. That's that's why should that ever be the case? You
No,
know?
I mean, I get what you're trying to say because it's right. I totally agree with you. But then, if you look at it now, Mungod, like usually, a lot of the people tend to like, let's say, they tend to like do shortcuts in production, right? And then basically that's creating a lot more trash, even though they know that like that's
In
the
what way?
side effect.
Is there an
Hello,
example you can give? Is there an example you can give? In what way?
I'm gonna Google it.
Well, a
I'm
lot
gonna Google it for you.
like
What?
Boracay, like you can see Boracay that in the when industry was booming, that like you see a lot of people just throwing their garbage everywhere. So that's why there's this negative like correlation between like doing business or trying to make a profit and like the environment because it's usually people take shortcuts either to dispose or like in mining sectors where they empty out when you have open pit mines you basically empty out entire mountains and then it's like your trash is as big as a mountain also. So that's what she was talking about in nickel mining, the girl on the tweet. When you do open pit mining, which is why the president threatened to ban it, is that basically you just make a giant hole that's like their trash pile is as big as a mountain. And the problem is that the government hasn't taken any steps to impose, or at least they haven't before. They weren't imposing like environmental standards, so that's why it's negatively linked. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. But also, I think that as much of a free market, like I'm a big free market guy, I do think that one of the responsibilities of the government is to make sure that these businesses are considering the externalities that they're producing, which
Mm.
is usually like the
Make sure they're
trash
properly
Mm,
and like
regulated. Oh.
yeah, they regulate them as because like I said, like back to my original point, you can't see the immediate concern when it comes to the environment. So it has to be regulated. I think that's where the government and private sector have to meet to try and determine what that standard is.
mm,
Mabigyan ng pointed access to kanangkuan to basically get the cost of the externality back. It's not necessarily to stop the externality, but basically to find a way na the people causing the externality are paying for it and the payment can be rerouted to
Yeah,
helping somewhere else. That's really the point, Megan.
yeah, yeah. That it's sufficient. Like maybe you have an environmental fee, and then that fee will be used to clean up whatever trash is generated in that area. So I think that's the proper system. The problem, yeah, the problem is that these systems are abused. So that's why it's hard. It's a difficult problem to solve. It actually isn't really. I think it's just there's just a lot of money sloshing around, which is why it seems more difficult than it actually is.
mm,
It's for me, it's the same old argument, dude. It's that people are so set in their ways that it's hard to change. That's always the case, because that's why a lot of our issues are coming out. A lot of our issues of today are coming out. It's really that people are so set in their ways that it's hard for them to change. You get what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, they're
that's
so
really
used to.
Yeah,
how things work that they don't want to change into something new.
yeah.
But there are a lot of things also that are becoming really radical.
it's sad, but yeah, cause like,
They want
oh, go,
go.
oh, stop,
Nanapod.
go, stop, go.
Oh,
No,
Dude, just
you
I,
go.
I was just gonna say that it's just sad because when they brought plastic in, it's just sad because when they brought plastic in, that was like their kuan ba ya? Their murag sige na, how do you call it? Basta that was like their how they sold it ng murag like you can recycle it, you can use it again, di siya makuan. Pero
It's very durable.
now it's just getting thrown away like that.
dude, isn't that just people being socially irresponsible about it then?
Yeah, a lot of it. A lot of
Diba?
people are very responsible. And it
No, and
yeah,
also the
Yeah,
fact that we don't have the facilities here to like properly recycle all of it, you know? Like at
yeah.
least I
yeah.
don't
The
think we
same.
do, diba?
But
Yeah, the
that
same with Boracay. Their capacity for trash was like around 30. Uh, was it 30,000 tons? And then they were generating like 90 to 120,000 tons. So they were generating 3, 4 times more than they could actually like process or properly dispose of, which is why they had to close it down. So you can really see how bad it can get if it's left alone. Because it just
mhm,
grows. The problem with the environmental, the trash issue is that it just keeps growing as more people start trading and start doing business. It's just going to keep going more and more unless you make more efficient systems to dispose of the trash. But we can see it's possible because, like in other countries, they're able to do it. Like
mhm.
there's this, which country is that imports? They actually import trash because they recycle so much of it. There's this one country in the world that does the trash so well that they have to import trash from other countries. Like they buy trash just so they can recycle it. It's crazy.
Sure.
I know it's not Canada, dude, the PR
It's
gods.
not Canada. It's in Europe. I think it's in like Sweden or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Sweden's recycling is so
Sweden. Yeah.
revolutionary that the country has run out of rubbish. Okay, there we go. All right.
Damn, dude. Why can't we be like that?
Because we're a
Like,
third world country, Sim. No,
like,
but then, dude, okay, I'm just. Oh, Sim. Oh, never
what,
mind.
what?
I'll just chat you. But then,
Whoa.
that's
Okay.
on a side note, dude. Like, all I'm gonna say is, dude, that Prime Minister of Canada, PR God, dude. That's all I'm gonna say about him.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Considering
si
all the crap
Trudeau.
he's pulling, and by like everyone loves him so much.
It's his photo shoots, man. And they like him because
Yeah,
he's
dude.
guapo.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Uh,
May siya masturya ba eh?
he can do whatever he wants, dude. He can do whatever
Okay.
he likes.
Wait, so is that all? Is that all we got?
No, we got more, but are we done with the have you guys exhausted your thoughts?
Oh, dude, okay, last comment. I
Oh,
really
yeah,
love
yeah.
that
Let's
Twitter
go back to
thread,
it.
by the way. I really
Which one?
love the
Oh
Twitter
yeah,
thread
yeah.
on
You've
that.
been telling me about it
Yeah,
actually.
the environmentalism versus capitalism one, because she just makes a claim, a random claim, and everyone like flings facts in her face, like, no, that's not the case. And then, it's good. That's really how it's supposed to be. Instead of just like what I said earlier, Laway versus Laway, you pull out some facts. You really like use it to argue. You don't just say this. And when someone asks you for like basis on it, you're like, you can't give anything to back it up. That's really how it should be, man. Like we really
Hmm.
use facts to back up your claims. It's kind of
Dude,
messed up
you
though.
know what's funny? There was a video
Yeah.
that surfaced Twitter the other day. It was like Arab campaigning before. Have you seen that?
Mm.
He was campaigning before in Manila Bay, then basically it was a cleanup campaign, like clean up Manila Bay, blah blah blah. So like
I
they were
remember
like
that.
they were like in a boat, right? There were like these volunteers at the side of the boats with like nets and everything. Then you just see like floods of trash going towards the boat. I was like, how is that going towards the boat? The boat's not even moving. Then the camera just goes back and it's this guy like pushing the trash like here, here. from, from another boat. Like someone apparently from another boat is pouring the trash. Then this guy who's swimming in Manila Bay is like pushing it. then then they interviewed Arab after, and he was like, "Oh, it's just to like show the world to clean up." Clean up Manila Bay. It's like the fuck, bro. No, that's not how it
He
works.
was
That's
he
not
was
how it
putting his
works.
own.
Okay,
It
that guy
depends.
is not a PR god. That's all I'm gonna say. Dude.
Dude, definitely not a PR god.
Hey, he almost won. He almost won, man.
No, dude, dude,
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
gonna say something,
What?
dude.
Huh?
It's because his name
it's
is easy to
it's
spell. It's because his name is easy to spell, dude. It's 4 letters.
Erupt?
okay.
Yeah, dude. It's like it has the same letters as pero. It has the same letters as pare, dude. It's so easy to remember, dude. It's why I almost won, dude. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like kapoy, kanay na lang.
Kayo na lang eh.
That's funny. That's so funny, man. But yeah, that's the thing is that it's like we said earlier. It's not exclusive. Like there's not capitalism has nothing to do like
Hmm.
per se with its externality. That's one of the costs. That's one of the effects.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not like the primary thing that capitalism deals with. Capitalism just deals with commerce between people. Basically, it's that we all know what it is.
No, okay. I'm gonna break it down like this. Okay, basically, they're trying to find the cheapest way possible, and it just so happens that the cheapest way possible is not what aligns with the current environmental mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's really it. It's not capitalism versus environmentalism. It's just it didn't align. It just didn't work
Yeah,
out. Yeah. At least as of
yeah,
as
and
of
it's
today. Oh.
yeah, in the current landscape at least, it's not aligning very well.
Yeah,
And
but
it's just
then
gonna continue
considering
that way, I think.
developments, no, considering developments, you'll never know. They're actually a lot more cost. For example, solar panels are much cheaper now. Dude,
Mm.
Yeah, I
Negros,
think
what? Should
I think I think that you're right. You were just waiting for a more cost-effective way of having those goals aligned. Right now, they're not aligned because it's so much cheaper to do the let's call it the dirty way. You know what I mean? It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot cheaper to do, but as cost goes down, then I think there's going to be a natural move towards more sustainable, more efficient technology that's going to lessen the externality on the environment.
Oh, dude, it's okay. Actually, on another note, like say for example, the Philippines in terms of the environment, dude, we're actually very um dependent on renewable sources of energy. Did you know about that? Negros Oriental, the one near us, is it Oriental, Occidental? Them, basta them, dude, they can basically run their whole island on solar energy and have excess.
Mm.
Dude, you see what I mean? Like people
Really?
always like paint a terrible picture about the Philippines, but then say for example, no, for example, this okay, this is like off topic, but then remember that nuclear power plant that was supposedly
Yeah,
built
in
and never
Bataan.
started? Yeah,
Ah,
okay. What do you guys know about that? Why didn't it start?
no
They
idea.
just didn't want it to because it was from the
No,
previous.
but then Sim,
What?
why? What have you heard? Why didn't it start?
No idea. I just heard it did not start.
Okay,
But please
basically
enlighten us.
it was yeah, dude. It was ready to start. We
Ah.
had Filipinos trained abroad to operate the nuclear power plant. Now the stories that are spread around are always like, oh, it was built on a fault line. Nope. In the words of Trump, wrong. The Kalangkon. Basically what happened was when we shifted over to the Aquino administration, basically they scrapped the entire power plant, even if it was done. It was done, okay? We were in debt because of this power plant,
Mm.
and they scrapped it anyway. All the Filipinos that are trained abroad, you know where they were working after? They were the ones who were manning the nuclear power plant in Japan, manning the nuclear power plant elsewhere. This nuclear power plant to this day, and it's clean energy, but yeah, nuclear power is clean energy. It is,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Could have powered 60% of Visayas for like clean energy. We just never did it. But then think about it this way. 30% of the power that's supplied to Visayas geothermal. Things like that. Like people don't actually know this, do they? No, the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines is actually very dependent on your renewable sources of energy. Like we're actually really highly rated,
So why
considering we're a third world country.
so why did the Bataan power plant not push through?
Well lang, trip lang I guess. Like
What?
We don't really know the real reason, but
No, you know how it
What?
uh,
is. You know how it is in Philippine
this
politics. They don't
yeah,
want to
it's
use a project
politics.
from another administration because it doesn't have
Ah,
their
okay.
name on.
Oh, that's freaking horrible, dude. Why do
On a
people do
side
that?
note, guys, dude, I'll never understand why China is painted in such a bad light by the media. Think about this. China planted a forest, a whole forest, dude.
Mm.
Like they were like, this
It's
desert, we're gonna turn it into a forest. Dude, I only read one article about that. One. Dude, they literally turned a desert into a forest, and I read one article.
Mm. Dude,
it's
What
because
is
actually,
no,
now
they're no,
now that you brought that up,
they're
dude, I feel like okay, so it's um China in the past like wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, China in the past like 2 decades has been I think number one polluter in the world, right? Or number two. Basta they're up there.
No,
Number two
well,
behind the
they can't be ahead of the US. The US
Yeah,
is
they're
just like
behind the
too
US.
crazy.
They're behind the
They're
US.
number two in the world. But then but they're the new one because before it was US and US was number one. They started like from way before. China they're a bit newer ba and they started polluting really bad
Yeah,
like kind of recently lang, relatively recently. Then basically the US and Europe was basically telling China to like stop doing what it's doing, stop developing because you're polluting, crazy polluting like then of course like when I heard about that I was like the US has no right to tell China
Yeah, dude, clean
what
up your own backyard, bro.
yeah exactly
that
US
that's the same
US has
that's
no
the same
right to tell
argument that we're
China.
having,
Yeah, because like
right? That's what,
yeah, because basically
that's
what's
that
China's
that
choice? Like
yeah, that's what
are
the
am I just
debate is
supposed to
about. Is
remain undeveloped and be your bitch or something?
yeah,
No way. I'm gonna get up there with you, exactly.
No, but then
yeah.
here's the thing.
That's
Like,
actually the debate, dude. Is that should developing countries be allowed? Because like these developed countries were allowed to engage in heavy industry that was cost efficient, even though it hurt the environment a lot.
Oh yeah, because we
Should
didn't know better
developing
before.
countries be allowed to do that? Would be they allowed to do that so they can catch up, or should they just adapt like the standards already that is set internationally? I guess like it's usually the US that tries to push it, or the UK or the UN. They try to push an environmental agenda. Should developing countries be held to that standard, or should they just have their own standard that if they can clean up themselves, then just leave them alone? You know what I mean?
dude, I'm
Oh.
gonna play the devil's. I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here, dude. Like, think about it this way. Like, okay, yeah, they were able to start it, but if we follow their example, isn't it gonna be too
Well,
late? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
that
world
yeah,
will get to a point where we can no longer do anything about it.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
But I mean
exactly.
for
That's
me,
why
okay, you go first.
that's why at the end of the day, I think it's all gonna come down to whatever. If you're able to get low cost renewables like technology, because at the end of the day, if it can cost the same to be sustainable, then you have an incentive to go down that route. Not only is it good branding for you, but it's also like I don't know. Maybe there's a sense of virtue also that like you're doing something for the environment and it won't just be mainly profit. But I think if it's the same cost or if you can find lower costs of renewable energy, I don't see why there wouldn't be a transfer towards that.
Okay,
Mm.
Paul, back to what you said about it being good publicity. I don't really agree. Because think about it this way. Um, it really depends on just how the media likes you. Like, dude, okay, yeah, China's been number two behind the US, but China's been investing so much into renewable sources of energy, whereas the US is not. The US does not give a flying fuck. Dude, like China, like investing
Yeah,
in
but
electric
it's
cars and renewable energy and all of that. And dude, does China get any love? Does China get any good publicity? No. It really
maybe
depends on
maybe
whether.
maybe on the local level, like
Oh, but then
Oh, for
that's the
sure.
thing. Like globally talking, but it really depends on the flavor of the week, basically. For example, this is just an example. This is like a slight tangent. For example, Elon Musk was the favorite was the poster boy basically for news outlets. And then what does he do? He criticizes them with one tweet. What do they do the day after? They
Demonize
instantly
him.
say is no. They instantly go. Who said this line? This was legit in a lot of news websites. Huh? Who said this line? Donald Trump or Elon Musk? The week before they were like, "Oh, Elon Musk is gonna save the world." The week after, who said this line? Donald Trump or Elon Musk? See what I mean? Like it really depends.
It's
Flavor of the week, dude. Flavor of the
Mm,
week.
makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
man.
sense.
It's part of this crazy machine that has been created. That's like there's been a lot of character assassination going on because of this social media. It's like a weapon that was unleashed online. That like whoever disagrees with these bunch of people, they get destroyed. And if you don't agree with a certain set of values, you're immediately labeled as like a
A
racist
bigot,
Mm,
a Nazi, a
or
bigot.
a sexist, a Nazi, and we're seeing it unleashed on different fronts in politics, Elon Musk, in Hollywood,
Like
and
really,
you know,
Elon Musk, a Nazi, dude?
dude.
What? I mean, okay, he made a flamethrower, but that doesn't count. Okay.
Dude, that doesn't even come close.
that
What?
he's basically the face of renewable energy, man.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it for environmentalism and capitalism.
All right. So wait. Oh, wait. We went on a really long tangent, dude.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So
I think.
basically, we bring it back to they're not there.
What?
They just
Are we taking a break?
don't.
Yeah, why don't we take a break? 5 minutes.
And we're back with more
We
wise
didn't
guys
go on a
stuff.
break. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, we didn't
Yeah,
go on a break, guys. We were
Yeah,
just over here doing a thing.
the
yeah.
whole time.
Okay,
I mean, I was there. Okay.
so we have what, three more topics, and going to our first topic is bold font privilege.
Mm. Okay. In what
Bold
sense?
font privilege.
And what's
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay, let me just put it this way. I saw this tweet online. Okay, where else would I see it? I saw this tweet, and basically it was an article about these millennials who were going abroad to basically get into top tier schools, right? Who are
Mm.
basically like accepted already. And some of these people have very well-known family names. So basically this guy on Twitter called them out and was like, um, basically you just reached like that pinnacle of your life because you're privileged, because you have the opportunity to get there and stuff like that.
Wait, these are immigrants who went
No, no,
to
no, 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 no. I mean, what do you mean? No, they're Filipinos. They're
Filipinos who
Filipinos.
were.
Yeah, they're Filipinos who are well, some of them, I mean, come from a wealthy family to go to a top tier school in the US, in the US.
Yeah, yeah.
It's expensive. So like basically this guy was calling them out and was like saying that you only got there because of your privilege, because you were born into wealth, and because basically you were given a much bigger opportunity than the rest of the Filipinos. So what do you guys think about that?
That's true, but that doesn't make it a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's true that he got there because of his privilege, but uh, you know that's not a bad thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. How about you,
So I
Francis?
don't get. I guess the issue is more of the issue is really more about, is it a crab mentality of some sorts that
Mm,
you don't like seeing other people succeed, therefore you bash them if they're doing well. I mean, or yeah, I guess I don't know. For me, it's a crab mentality. Like, yeah, okay, maybe the cards aren't dealt uh fairly, but you know, where is it ever dealt fairly? I mean, it's always dealt unfairly, and what matters is what you do with the cards you're dealt, and
mm-hmm.
not, you know, the other whatever.
by the way. How about you, Francis? Do you
Yeah.
have any anything you can contribute?
No, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
easy, brother.
Dude, for some reason I thought Francis was lagging for a while because he was just like
No,
keeping the straight face, like,
no, I'm trying to let people. I'm trying not to interrupt, because Paulo has this tendency of taking those long pauses, so I don't know when to cut in. But then,
yeah.
okay, basically, here's the thing. Like, it's true. It's true. They have privilege. It's just like if someone is given an inheritance, blah 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 blah. It's a privilege. It is.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't understand why these people always say the entire thing relies on just their privilege. Like, not everyone says it, but there are really people out there who are really like they only got there because of their privilege,
Yeah.
not through any of their own ability or anything like that, but because of the privilege. And then here's the thing. For example, if you were to give a person kanangkuhan, uh an inheritance of like $1 million, would they be able to do the same things with the said inheritance in comparison to another person? No, it
Yeah.
depends on their ability, dude. Like why are you pinning so why are people pinning so much on that privilege when and they're no longer appreciating the ability it took to get to that point to actually apply said privilege, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could get an inheritance of a
That's a
million
that
dollars and if you're terrible at it, you squander it, but if you're talented at using it, you become much richer. Like, it still falls down to the ability of the person. Like fuck the privilege thing, dude. Like,
yeah, I think you laid what I was trying to say like really well. Like that's what I mean when I say that it cards you're dealt with it, because like even though these guys have privilege, they also had to exert some sort of effort, or they also had to do some things to get to where they are. And we don't really know even like what their personal struggles are. So who are we to judge? Who are we to say this guy that it's only his privilege? Is that even true? We don't you don't even know. You won't know for sure, unless of
Mm-hmm.
course you're close.
because people. Oh, okay, go.
Yeah, no,
You're
continue.
cutting out.
I'm done.
Oh, okay, because people are basing their argument on the idea that there's an equality of outcome. Like, they're thinking that if they were given the same opportunities, they would be able to achieve the same thing. But that's
Mm-hmm.
not true. People have different abilities. People are essentially different. Like, that's why the goal of society is not equality of outcome. Be again, it's not that everyone ends up the
Yeah, it's
same, but
opportunity.
everyone has. Oh, it's equality of opportunity. Everyone should have the same opportunity. Like, okay, like, I know this is like contrary, like this is like counter to what's being said here. But then what people really want is equality of opportunity, so that your abilities will do the rest. Now, if you're arguing against the idea, like if you're arguing privilege is what got them there, you're basically saying um ability doesn't matter anymore. So why are you guys why are people still demanding equality of opportunity if ability doesn't matter? Like,
And
it's really screwed up,
and
dude.
you know what? And the interesting thing about this the equality of outcome argument is that it's kind of like it counters itself, like, because the reason why this guy got in the school in the first place is probably because like he is of different because a lot of these schools, they're trying to impose like gender, they're trying to impose equality of outcome, not gender but race. They have like quotas for race, like basically they have a
That's
bunch of
true.
this is the number of Asians that they will admit, this is the number of black people that they'll admit, this is the number of, in this case, Filipinos. So instead of basing it solely on like the scores, how well people do, they're trying to enforce this equality of outcome in which there'll be the same number of blacks, the same number of white people, and that actually directly resulted in the guy being able to like part of it is probably that he had to hit the quota in that area,
Mm-hmm.
because they accept more of these kinds of people than others. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I
It's not.
actually I personally disagree with that point because I would really say people love to downplay other people's abilities. Like they really love to do that. Like
Mm.
I don't
Oh no,
understand.
oh no, yeah, definitely. What I was just saying is that try to enforce outcome, you tend to destroy the equality of opportunity in the first place. Uh, because of what I just said, like when you try to enforce
Basically,
people to get the
right.
same, so you try to force people to get the same
Mm.
result, you're gonna have to take opportunities from people who would do better given those opportunities than the rest to get equal results.
So, because you're
Mm.
cutting out, okay, I'll just try to see if I got your
Oh,
point properly.
is it like
No, it's not audio. It's really your internet that's
Yeah,
cutting
isn't
out.
that?
So basically, what you're trying to say is the fact that there are quotas no longer allows for equality of opportunity because it doesn't matter what your ability is if you don't fit the required quota. Yeah.
yeah, by that by trying to enforce equality an equal outcome, you're gonna have to take away opportunity from those, usually those who are doing well, because they end up with more.
No, but then
If
the
you
point
if,
of the
if you look at it kasi on the like on the very base level, it's like there's this notion that the people forget that in any creative endeavor, usually there's a few people at the top who get most of it, who get most of the in anything that we do. Like if you look at all the fields in the world, there's a number of 1% businessmen and doctors, graphic artists, fashion designers. There's always a few guys who dominate most of it. And I think it's just like a part of the structure, and people mistake that with like injustice or privilege that get them there, when it's just a part of the system. You know what I mean?
So you're basically
no,
saying
but
that it's their ability?
no, that's
Yeah,
but then
Mm.
the point, Paul, is that the Twitter thread. The point was that these people are discrediting the achievements of these people. They're discrediting it in a sense. Na you've achieved that only because of your privilege. That's the part that really discredits their effort,
Mm.
which really bothers me personally. Like, what?
yeah,
Why?
because
Go.
there's a notion that if it's because just because you're privileged, like it's a bad thing that you're receiving only from this that privilege. But what I say is that this privilege happens in every field, every aspect of life. Like there's some people who get more than the others. Like it's just a reality that we have to deal with. And of course, the goal is to limit as much to give the opportunity to those people at the bottom to get to that level also.
Mm.
Okay, here's another take on it. Why should I be ashamed of something my parents worked so hard to give me? You get what I mean? Why should I have to
Yeah,
throw that away? Well, why should I be shamed for something my parents worked so hard for, like, to allow me to have, you know? Like
Mhm.
they worked so hard to grow a business, they worked so hard to do all this to make sure I'm well fed, to make sure I have all of these things to allow me to achieve my current state. And then when I read a Twitter thread about it, people are bashing me because of it. People are telling me that it's all because of the privilege and that it's not something I should be proud about. That doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
Yeah,
Diba?
that's right. Like these people basically are not considering like what Paolo said, the personal struggle they went through and the hard work they went through. Because for sure, dude, to get into a top tier school in the US, and I'm talking about like Ivy Leagues, that is not an easy feat. Like there's a lot of smarts,
Mhm.
intelligence that goes into that. You
yeah.
need a lot of hard work
Even
goes into that.
even even with the quotas, you still need to be hella smart to get into those schools, And we're not even sure if that plays a part
Yeah.
at all, even. It's just what's going on in the news right now.
Yeah. So basically, guy that bashed them, insane.
I wouldn't say insane because, like, oh, it's just that for once, not insane.
Yeah,
Because well, it's isn't it human nature though? You know what I mean? Like if someone you can't, you kind of like feel like there has to be a reason, not just that he's better than you. You know,
Like you
yeah,
try
a
to
but
lot
I
of
think
people
I
justify,
think
can't. Okay.
you try to
yeah, but I think
justify
it's
that
the
fact.
You
I
try
think
to
it's
find a
the
justification for it.
yeah,
Gets.
true. But I think it's the wrong like philosophy to take,
Oh
like to
yeah,
think like that.
Yeah, yeah, for
I don't
definitely.
sure.
think
Like
it
you should.
serves you. I don't think it serves you any good to think
That's
like that.
definitely something that human beings should change and watch out for, I would say.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Side
Dude,
wager
That's
right
deep,
here.
Smith.
no, that's like it's
No,
such a selfish way of thinking. That's why.
yeah, and now it's projected all over social media, dude.
Yep. But it's a good
I
thing
still,
though
I
that
still,
in that thread, in that particular thread, that a lot of people were actually standing up for well, the people in the
yeah,
article,
yeah. See,
which gives me hope for
no,
humankind.
no, okay. Uh, no, dude,
Go,
no,
go,
dude.
go.
That's the thing. That's the thing about that's the thing that I'm really happy about, at least, like in the Philippines now. That trend has not yet set in. You know, like the trend wherein like you have to be so PC about everything you say and everything you do.
Mm,
Otherwise, like anything you say will come to haunt you 10 years from now. That trend has not set in the Philippines yet, and I'm actually really happy that's the case. When
mm.
that
Yeah,
day
it's but
comes, oh man, it's gonna be a sad day in the Philippines, dude.
Yeah, dude, when you
it's
can't say
hard.
anything
But
without.
it's a different culture though. It's a different culture. So
No, but then you
it's
know
the
how the Philippines really loves to follow American culture, and an American culture that's very ingrained in their current culture. We're a
Mm,
few years
yeah.
behind them. You'll never know.
But that's been happening in their culture for much longer time, I think. Here we speak in a much more direct manner, like in our own dialects, like Bisaya, you know.
Franca,
mm,
Yeah, it's kind of more frank. Like you just kind of say it how it is.
mm.
Because
Okay, okay, I totally okay, I get you now.
there's no way to sugarcoat it in our dialect. Like there is a way, but then like it's not practiced commonly.
Mm,
You kind of just say it, and
gets,
that's what makes it
gets.
awesome.
So yeah, do you guys have any more takes on privilege? Or are we
mm,
pretty much done? Or do you still have a
yeah,
point, Mr. Francis Chi?
that's it. The summarization is basically like doesn't matter who has the privilege. If you don't have the ability to use it, you won't get anywhere. So
Yeah,
don't take anything away from these people who achieved a lot
yeah.
based on their ability plus the privilege to.
Bottom line, you have no one has a right to judge someone else for their privilege. Yes. I made a
All
conclusion.
right, moving on.
Yeah,
Okay, so
basically.
moving on to the next topic is um have you heard of Demi Lovato's drug overdose? I mean, I wouldn't say drug overdose, overdose. Her
Hmm.
overdose.
Sad, man.
Yeah, you know what makes it even sadder is that
Sad.
there's kind of like a double standard when it comes, especially when it comes to this topic at hand, because when it comes to Demi Lovato, when people hear about her overdosing, they immediately like reach out a helping hand, like obviously like give her kind words, like, oh Demi, like I hope you get better, always wishing her the best. But when it comes to someone else, they immediately like crack them down, like they insult them, like, oh, it's their fault for doing this, doing that, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah,
they're
it's kind of
judged
sad.
instead of being treated as a health issue. That is pretty
Yeah,
sad. It is pretty sad.
pretty sad.
It's I think it's also part of like the Hollywood culture that like because celebrity that so there's like a certain power in celebrity, and for some reason I think it's just human nature to be attracted to these like celebrities and people. It feels like we know them, or like because we watch them on screen, it's like there's a certain attachment towards these people as
Mm,
compared to if it was someone like random on the street, then you wouldn't.
Ah, yeah,
You
that
don't
makes
have
sense.
that same attachment. So like it becomes like, oh, this is a problem with them. But then when it comes to like celebrity and those that people feel like they have a connection to, it's like they wanna help out somehow. They wanna, you know,
Hmm. That's true.
Yeah, but
you know
then,
what I mean?
that the point was the fact na it ranges even from celebrity to celebrity, depending on the image of the celebrity, diba? Kind
Hmm.
of that's messed up. Like
That's
for example,
that
like Lamar Odom gets an
that's the
overdose.
next
Everyone's like,
level
oh, he
of
deserved it, diba?
analysis.
No, that's the point. Like, say Lamar Odom, he overdoses. Everyone's like, oh, he deserved it. Fucking drug addict. And then Demi Lovato gets overdose, and everyone's like, addiction is not a choice. It's a psychological condition. Blah 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 blah. Like they're justifying it, but like, how can you be so two faced?
Mm.
You know, like what is that about? Like, stick to what you said. Diba? Stick to what you say. If you condemn one person for getting an overdose, condemn the other person unless you've had a change of heart midway through. And if you're the type of person who says it's a like you accept people who are drug addicts and you want to help them, then help even the people you don't like because they're experiencing the same problems. Like
Hmm.
it's so like two faced, man.
Yeah, I
Like
think, well, that's what I think also, like, people should people should definitely, if they want to reach out to someone who is a drug addict, then they should reach out to all drug addicts. Because I feel like addiction isn't necessarily like a like a crime. It's more of like a mental health issue more than a crime. So like I feel like, wait, are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
It is so silent. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, that's why I feel like basically I was just expounding on Cheese point that people shouldn't be so
Oh yeah,
two-faced.
and
There
what?
shouldn't be a double standard about something like this.
Yeah, and another side thing to say about this is like it's sad how many of these like child stars become like addicted to drugs. They ruin their lives. You notice that it's like when these young stars are put in the spotlight really early, they
Mm-hmm.
tend to get a lot of them become like have problems with drug addiction or trying to maintain their image, depression. It's like
Mm-hmm.
there's this cycle happening.
Well,
Have you
yeah,
guys noticed that?
yeah, because I feel like, because if you were a child star, um, you wouldn't be brought up in a normal way. Do you get me? Like, I feel like if
Yeah,
you're a
like
child star, you'll be undergoing a lot of pressure, and you'll be like
yeah, it's
having
because
to.
it feels like everybody's watching you and
Mm,
that you're pressured to do well
mm,
because you're in the spotlight. I mean, look at
yeah,
Lindsay Lohan, diba?
yeah,
And
that's true.
a lot of celebrities they end up with problems.
Mm,
That's pretty sad.
that's pretty sad.
But yeah, back to what we were talking about earlier. Um, yeah, what is up with that double standard? It's like it's part of I think the same. It's part of the same machine. Like because on one level, on one level of analysis, what you were talking about earlier is that I lost my thought.
Here.
What were we talking about earlier?
Drug
Or
addiction. Demi Lovato's OD.
Oh yeah, that
basically there's a double
for
standard between celebrities, even celebrities who like
yeah.
there's
Okay,
celebrities you
yeah.
don't
Oh,
like
I
and
I
the ones you like.
remember.
Wait, I have you guys continue. Wait, I have to go get some.
So, okay,
Oh man.
okay, Pau, go.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can try to explain this to you some
Okay,
what I was thinking
I'm all ears,
earlier.
dude.
Like okay, so I was talking about like how there's power in celebrity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like for some like we feel attached to the people we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's certain attraction towards like famous people or it feels like we have an attachment to them. And then there are also like categories of these famous people like Lamar Odom. Demi Lovato, and it all depends from where they came from. And I think that's where this double standard comes from. That like the uh because like there are some celebrities that don't have the same values, that they don't think the same way as, let's say, the media or whatever. So people don't react to news about them in the same way. Is that fair
Mm.
to say?
No, well, I agree with your point naman na um it's a lot of it. I don't know. I wouldn't say a lot of it, but it does depend on the image that has been ingrained in your head. Because like going back with the Demi Lovato and Lamar Odom example, of course people look at Demi Lovato like she's an angel. But since
Yeah, because she's a
um
girl.
no, well, Lamar Odom ang good. He's had scandals before, like especially with the Kardashian family. Katong he cheated with Chloe. For sure, dude. A lot of people like bashed him
True,
for that.
true.
So like muna na sila, that's like in their head already. While Demi Lovato, her image is like um when she was a kid, she was bullied for being fat, and she fought through it. She grew up to who she is today. It's like a motivational story. You get me? While on Lamar Odom's
Yeah,
side, it's more of like a rough hill of like scandals. But
true. It's
nevertheless,
different.
yeah, it's different, definitely. It's about like the image that was ingrained in your head. But I mean like nevertheless, I feel like people should still not succumb to this double standard wherein like yeah, about
Should
this drug
should it
addiction.
Isn't
to
it
what
just
extent
mm,
can it be like just about the context of it?
What do you mean?
Like
why should there be a context in it?
Mm-hmm.
should there be a yeah, that's I guess that's my question. I mean, like if it's like a complete drug addict already, you know he was a drug addict and then he got overdosed despite trying to, is there a difference between that and like somebody who's perceived to be like a really good person? Let's say nobody knew this person was taking drugs and then na OD siya. Would it be a different image? Is that, does the optics matter?
No, but the thing is, if your claim is that um you shouldn't be bashing people who
Are suffering.
like OD, or
QOD.
it's, if your claim is that because it's a psychological problem, you have no right to bash either.
Mm.
But if you're gonna say that about one and say the other one is a drug addict by choice, then that doesn't make any sense because you're claiming that addiction is a psychological condition. You
Yeah,
get what
you're
I mean?
basically making different, you're using different arguments depending on the person, right?
No,
Mm.
once again, being two faced. That's why it all comes down to
It's
preference. And
profiling.
for something like this, yeah, it's profiling, it's preference. For something like this, that shouldn't be the case. Your reaction to one case should be your reaction to the next, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That
Yes,
makes
so
sense.
I guess the issue then is that if it is actually considered as like a mental health issue, should, which I think it should be, like a mental health issue rather than a criminal issue, something like that.
Mm. I feel like definitely
Th-
wait, are you done? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I feel
Go.
like definitely it should be considered a mental health issue because for me, I think addiction itself, like addiction isn't a choice. It's more of maybe your first time of indulging into addictive substances, that's the choice. But then getting addicted to it, that's not your choice. That's a substance doing its thing. But then on the other hand, people should also look at the reason as to why they decided to do those first tries of indulging into those substances. Because there are a lot of reasons why people get into drugs, and it's not just like for fun or something like that. Some people actually see drugs as like a way out of like their
Yeah, it's
reality,
an
something like that.
escape. Yep.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like definitely in that sense, I would say more of a mental health problem rather than a crime problem.
Yeah, so does this double standard come from the fact that to some people that debate hasn't been settled yet, whether it's a mental health problem or a criminal problem? Because
Yeah.
do you think that's where the
I
double
actually,
standard comes from?
I personally say the double standard comes from, once again, human nature. People have their preferences, you know.
Mm,
Like,
Yeah, they'll
like
hear what they want to hear.
yeah.
oh, they'll hear what they want to hear. For example, they'll say dogs are the greatest pets on earth, and then they'll say pit bulls are assholes. You know, like pit bulls are still dogs. Like, what are you guys saying?
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. I see the picture.
Okay.
I see the picture.
You get what I mean, right? Like, there's
I
really a
do.
double standard.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah,
definitely one of the points that some people made against Duterte when he started his war on drugs, right? Because he's treating
Yeah,
it more like a criminal problem more than a
yeah,
psychological health problem.
because that's a very older way of thinking.
Mm,
You know, like our generation now really, like, we don't see it that way anymore. Now, most of us, at least, most of the people I know don't see it that way. So it's a good thing that it's changing, at least.
mm. All right.
yeah. So there's the neck. True. Go.
So summary is stop the double standard. If you think if you think it's a mental health problem, then treat it like one and don't have double standards, right?
And also, if it's that hard, at least try. You know,
What do you
like,
mean?
I understand. No, like, no, if it's that hard to remove your double standard, at least try
Okay.
to do it.
Please
You know.
try. Gets,
Yeah.
gets,
Oh
gets.
wait,
Yeah.
actually, okay. So we're gonna move on from this topic. I actually have an interesting one.
Go, go,
For you.
go.
All right.
What?
So basically, you know how whenever people post videos of like the really cute dogs or something, like
Uh,
there's always this flood of comments of people going like, why are you breeding these dogs when there are so many dogs out there like up for adoption? You should adopt one of those poor animals. What do you think about those guys? What do you think about these people who are always commenting these things on every single dog video you see?
Oh,
hmm.
dude. I can't stand those kind of people, honestly. I mean, I understand if you stand for something, but why do you have to enforce it on other people? You know what I mean? And then the problem I have is that usually it's kind of in a vicious way that they do it. Like it's not just telling the person like you know there are dogs. It's also you might also want to check out
It's more of like
adopting dogs.
attacking
It's always
them.
that you're a bad you're it's yeah it's a thing that like oh you're such a bad person. I'm better than you because this is what I would do. Like why don't you? I'm sure it's in good intention. I'm sure it has good intention, but that's the way it comes out. Like is
I
that
don't agree
I'm
with it
morally
being in good
superior.
intention. Yeah, I
Mm.
wouldn't agree with it
Or no,
being
no,
in good intention.
maybe they think there it's a good intention. I think there are some they have good intentions, but
No, but I
it
feel
doesn't
like the
come
more
out that way.
aggressive ones, I feel like the more aggressive ones just get off the high of being like more more morally superior in a sense.
Dude, actually, I've totally noticed that in
And
like Twitter threads when people argue. I don't know why when people argue, they want they want to let you know that you're so stupid. Why are you thinking this way? I mean, obviously, if your comment Siguro is like out of this world crazy, then okay, fine. But then like if he's just stating like something he thinks, then he's like,
Mm.
oh no, why are you so stupid? Why are you thinking this way? If you really wanted to educate someone, gane, if you really wanted to educate someone, I don't think you should be approaching them in this manner where you would attack them and just like belittle them or something. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because it reminded me of what we were talking about.
Dude, actually, like I was
it's
like those comments thing. But dude, I actually read a comment. Like there's this guy who replied. He
Uh,
replied to every single. There's this one video, right? He replied to every single comment of every person who commented on the dog video. Like, why are you breeding these dogs? Blah blah blah. Blah. There's so many going up for adoption. Why don't
wait,
you
that
adopt?
guy was commenting on each comment.
Yeah, he was replying to each person who said this when that person had a kid. And you know what his reply would be?
Uh,
His reply would be, "Why are you breeding to have a kid when there are so many kids up for adoption?" You are part of the
Mhm.
problem. And I was like, oh, this guy,
You are part of the problem. Dude, that
I was
makes
like,
Could
oh,
not be
total
more
sense.
true. Could not be more true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Up that
it's
that's how
so
you
good, dude.
that's how you know an argument is completely like a wrong argument. Is that when you apply it to some other thing, it's gonna make no sense whatsoever.
When the analogy is so perfect.
Y-
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
When I read it out, like I can't remember like what the guy's name was, so I can't really credit him. But dude, I kept laughing, dude. I was like, oh, this guy, man, I can't.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
one. That's a good one. That's
it's a
definitely
good
something
reply,
that,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
God
yeah.
damn, yeah, dude.
So yeah, okay.
Uh,
Are we moving on to our last
yeah.
topic?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, dude. Pao, since you're not here in Cebu, and Francis and I have been hanging out a lot without you, so dude, seriously, this has been something we've talked about more than once. Definitely, I think.
What?
You know those what's it, eh? Those Philippine media Twitter posts, or not even Twitter posts, like Facebook, basta like they're like what they give out, and they basically like
Okay.
example for the World Cup, yeah, France won, and they had like
Yeah.
a backup goalie that didn't even play a single game,
Third
and
string, third. He was third string. Okay, not a
dude,
single minute on the field.
dude,
Not a single
Okay.
minute on the
freaking
field.
Inquirer, dude. Third string, didn't play a single in the field. Dude, all they could post about was him. They were like, "Oh, this guy is Filipino, like he's playing for the Philippines." No, he's not. He's
No,
playing for
dude,
France, and he's not even
this
playing.
was this was the headline. France's goalkeeper is Filipino. They didn't mention the fact that he was third string. They didn't mention the fact that he didn't even smell the soccer field. They didn't mention any of that.
Grabe sa didn't
They're just
smell,
like,
oy. Grabe sa
they're
didn't
just they,
smell,
they're just
oy.
they're just like, yeah, we have a Filipino FIFA world champion, guys. He would play for France, and he didn't. Dude, I bet he didn't
Well,
even see a blade of grass, dude. That's all
Dude,
I'm gonna say, man.
Coco and I have been ranting about this like crazy. Like, remember at the NBA game with the Golden State Warriors, the one they won now because a Filipina girl, a Filipina lady sang the American national anthem in there
the,
before their game.
the national anthem.
Dude, I was just like,
Maybe it gave them
what?
special powers, dude. You know,
Yeah,
Not,
dude.
dude. No, it's just annoying that
it's
Sim,
news
Sim, you
outlets
don't
are like,
understand. You don't understand.
yeah.
what?
Hashtag Filipino pride, man.
You don't
Hashtag
understand,
Filipino
Sim.
pride.
Oh,
Don't you know that's how Manny Pacquiao always wins? Because
He brings a
Judicia
whole
is
bunch of
always like Judicia's casting a spell on the opponent. You don't know
dude,
dude,
and also
that's all over Facebook, dude.
and
Oh
also
my
how he
god.
brings his entire ensemble of guys in barongs to sing the Bayang Magilio, dude.
that.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
why do you need a whole crew, man? Like why can't you just get one guy? You need like
that
this
was
whole
weird.
crew, man.
That
But
was weird. That was different. It was a lot of them singing the national anthem.
yeah,
Oh, he does that all the time. He always has that ensemble of
it's like a
people in
choir.
barongs. Yeah, it's a choir. Like I swear to God, kuha lang mag a
Was it?
cappella sila ba? Oh.
Was it like that the last time also? In his last fight? No, was he used it? It used to be like just one
Yeah, for the
singer.
past few fights, it's been him. It's been them. Like I think it's his choir group from church. That's why.
That makes sense.
Ah,
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah, but
sense.
then dude, like kuha na lagi ba? Mag full on a cappella sila ba? Like they're like doing the instruments and everything. Oh, that would actually be pretty sick,
They'd
dude. I'm
have
just
like
saying.
multiple mic stands.
Oh
So
my.
boom boom
Oh,
boom boom
dude,
boom.
that'd be. And one of the mics is like here's a neck, when they're
Of
doing
the
that
lead
beat
singer
thing.
by
Oh, dude.
the lead
Oh
singer
my.
always has the lapel.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, pal, we've been ranting about this topic like crazy. It just gets on my nerves. Like, why?
it's just like,
Why you do
but it's something
this?
like, does it actually like cause any? Is it like a problem, or is it just something that gets on your nerves?
No,
Oh,
I
dude,
think
it's a problem,
it's a
dude.
problem because I think going back to the first part of our video, like what you said, it's like a crab mentality, dude. Then
Yeah,
like,
it shows
why
the
would
kind of
they? Yeah, why would they have
culture.
to link someone like that to the Philippines when in fact he didn't even say anything about the Philippines?
I guess it's just a reflection of the way we think as a culture. You know what I mean?
It's kind of
Dude,
Because
sad.
okay. Okay, go.
un- yeah, unfortunately, well, that kind of thing generates news. A lot of people like to know that that uh one of France's goalies are Filipino who hasn't even played, or a singer's brother's nephew was
No, dude.
Filipino or something like
No,
that.
dude. Here's no. This is the point I'm gonna make. Okay, it's like oh my god, this person like I don't know won like Miss Universe or something. I heard her great grandmother was Filipina. Woo, Filipino pride makes no sense,
Dude, this
dude.
reminds me of that SpongeBob episode. It was that kind of my friends, bro, cousin. That was so
Who
my
knew this
friends,
guy? Who knew this
guy,
guy? Who
who
knew
knew
this
this guy,
guy?
this guy, who knew this
The
guy's
worst part
cousin?
is the
Oh
worst
god.
part is when you read the replies to the tweets they make. It's really people complaining like, how is this news?
Yeah,
Why are you?
exactly. Dude, there's no positive feedback. Like, there's no like, oh my God, really, blah blah. It's all like, why is this even news? There's such a waste of material, shit like that. But every time never fails, dude. It still comes out.
Oh, dude, I just remembered something. I saw. I think it was Inquirer. They just tweeted out a story. What's that name of that? Kanang artista na couple gani kanang mga teenagers pa sila.
I know that one. Si
What's their
Catherine Bernardo
Is it the one
and
they?
Oh
the
boy,
one,
katong nag-kiss daw sila sa Amsterdam or something. That it was like it's just a headline news. Why I was like, what is this?
dude,
What
did
is
you
this?
did you see what I retweeted though?
Hey, that's the
What?
kind of stuff Pinoy's like, man.
By what I retweeted was so good. Wait, I'm gonna freaking search for it right now. This girl, she retweeted the news
Bisag
article.
mag
Yeah, read it out.
but I don't remember. I just remember seeing it. It was something along the lines of bisag mag-iiyot pa daw sila. It's not like it's none of my business or
Yeah,
something.
but maskin mag-iyot pa sila, wa jud mi labot.
It's true, man. It's funny.
Ah, dude, oh man, I can't, dude. Like,
Dude,
I can't believe that's headline news. They kissed in a different city. Whoa!
whoa, life
isn't there something
changing.
more important to talk about? Like even
Oh
in terms
man,
of entertainment news, there has to be something more important than them just kissing, dude. Like, what is this?
I know, dude,
Oh my god!
crazy. But it actually
But I guess.
reminds me, Koy. That kind of relates to the point you told me before. The one about what the Marcos has started in politics.
The one where they basically turned Philippine politics into a TV show where
Yeah,
everything about like the lives of politicians
yeah.
it's
They
televised, it's
broadcasted it, yeah.
publicized.
So
Like
like
they're the
people
ones who
would
started the
feel,
trending in the
yeah,
Philippines.
people would feel like closer to them and more connection to them. I
You,
think it's from that too. Definitely, I think
what
so.
what what do you mean on TV? Is this on TV?
No. Everything about their lives. Basically, prior to them, politicians were like politicians from elsewhere. Like how Philippine politics is super special in that sense. Na
Yeah.
our politicians become superstar celebrities. They started that trend. They were the ones who did it on purpose so people would feel a connection to them, so people would really love them. That's why years after, even to this day, after all the atrocities committed during their regime, people are still like, oh, yeah, they were okay. Like, dude, they were like
Yeah.
killing people left and right.
Yeah,
No, but then
yeah,
they
Yeah.
I knew I knew everything about him. He was pretty alright. Are you sure?
Are you sure? You got that face, like the squinty eye face.
Yeah, dude.
But
Yeah, he
yeah,
has a.
dude, I
They
feel
still have
like
a lot of supporters,
Yeah,
huh?
dude.
yeah.
It's like, dude, these people are so like, oh yeah, I know they were, I know like they killed like two of my cousins, but then like I saw them, I saw her sing, and it really spoke to me. Like, bruh, come on.
You can be as another. Alright.
But you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like that's one of the reasons why something like that could make headline news, dude. It's crazy. So yeah,
it is
guys.
crazy. But anything makes headline news these days, right?
Oh yeah, that totally reminds me what Francis said again in last time's podcast, the one about um Trump and ice cream or something.
Ah, bay, that one bay, keta, toy. Keta, it
Dude.
became headline news sa CNN, bay. The one, everyone in the White House dinner had one scoop of ice cream and he had two. And then, like,
Oh,
CNN had a whole segment about it. Like, bro.
it's always the sky is falling with them, right?
No, dude,
Dude,
you know what their claim was? It showed how greedy he was as a person. Everyone else had one scoop, he had two. How is this even newsworthy, man? The
let the
man
man
just
just
wants.
have his ice cream. Let the man eat his ice cream.
Dude, I can't, man.
So
I
yeah,
can't.
basically guys, that concludes our podcast today. Talked about Terry Crews sexual assault and toxic masculinity. And guys, don't be afraid to show your feelings. And second, we talked about UST, Kyle Viray, and their conforme. Kyle Viray, dude, I don't know how you got freaking community service. It's crazy. And conforme for
You
us
should be ashamed of yourself, man.
should be ashamed of yourself. Conforme for us is a bit like pretty like strict as fuck to the point of being unrealistic, but then people sign it to go into the school anyway. So capitalism versus environmentalism, they are what do you call that, Paul? They're not,
Aren't
yeah,
necessarily
aren't
um
necessarily
against each other.
exclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exclusively against each other.
Exclusive. And our fourth privilege, guys, stop judging other people for their privilege. Bottom line, shortest summary of what we have discussed in that in that
Don't be hateful.
bullet.
Don't be hateful,
Yeah,
guys.
don't be a hater, man.
Yeah, come on. Don't be the one of those haters who gonna hate.
Yep, yep. And what? What? Okay, okay. I'm just gonna continue what I'm saying. So next up, Demi Lovato and the OD. So guys, please stop with the double standards. All right. And is it a criminal problem or is it a mental health problem? Stay tuned to the next podcast.
Why not both? Joke, no, I don't know.
Okay,
Go
the
on.
last is Filipino Pinoy pride. Seriously, big media outlets out there, you have got to stop doing this.
Find yeah, dude, find something better to write about. You
Dude,
know?
I think I would rather opt for the Trump ice cream thing than like this crab mentality kind of like topic of like tagging ourselves with like, people who don't even know they're Filipino or something. So
Yeah,
basically,
Yeah.
there's just something really sad about it.
yeah, dude, something it's like, oh, yeah, something super sad about it.
It's pathetic, man.
I know. So yeah, guys, that pretty much concludes our second or third episode. No, this is the third
Second, second,
episode.
second.
Oh, our second
Second,
episode. This
Second.
concludes our second episode, and listen to us next time. We are the Wise Guys. Stop recording.
yeah. All right, nice one, guys.